Salutations, respected viewers. I am George from Ireland. Well, I'm going to comment on President Trump achieving another first, being the first American president to lower himself to going to North Korea to abase himself before the tyrant who tyrannizes 30 million people in North Korea. Wow, what an achievement, a real feather in Trump's cap. Nobody else has done obeisance to the person who terrorizes the downtrodden people of North Korea before. Nobody else has especially done so on North Korea's home turf. There we have it. What a magnificent achievement. Make America great again. There he's kowtowed to the man who so viciously persecutes Christians in North Korea. And what is staggering is many Christian fundamentalists in the United States will vote for Trump despite what he's doing, despite Trump doing homage to this latter-day Nero. It was supposedly spontaneous, but those who are really in the know say it actually wasn't extemporaneous, this visit, and he'd put out the feelers some weeks ago, but it was all meant to be very hush-hush, and journalists were discouraged from publishing this, supposedly for national security reasons, but then Trump himself, in his trademark manner, let the cat out of the bag. He just couldn't keep it in, and mentioned it in an interview several days ago. So, as usual, the Trump administration is flying by the seat of the pants. It never does its homework, and it doesn't lay the groundwork for any of these great meetings. So, it's supposedly a characteristically bold maneuver. He leaked it on Twitter as well, what he's going to do. So, going to meet Kim Jong on the demilitarized zone between the so-called Democratic People's Republic of Korea and the Republic of Korea, a démarche. So Trump would, in the words of Star Trek, to boldly go where no man has gone before. Nice split infinitive, just the kind of thing Trump would say. Well, for once I don't completely deprecate Trump for what he's done. In the words of Harold Macmillan, jaw is better than war. So even if nothing's been accomplished, I would rather that he shoots the breeze with Kim Jong-un than there was a nuclear exchange. So perhaps this is building a little bit of confidence. There's more trust on both sides. It has lowered tensions, and there might be real progress. Part of the détente. Perhaps nothing will happen, but it could be worse. Perhaps he hasn't made it worse, I'm not sure. And it's proved yet again what I think many of us have long suspected: Kim Jong-un has only one suit, or else has got many copies of that same suit. So there we are, which shows the sort of the monochrome and uniform nature of his little statelet, how putrid it is, and how conformity is rigidly enforced. So no concrete progress in over a year since their first tete-a-tete, and really no agreement, even verbal, even vague, about the next steps. So how are they going to move forward? If anything, it's Trump might be sweet-talked into concessions by Kim Jong-un. Little rocket man might say, well, you're my best friend. We're best buds. Please, could you do me a favor, just a little one, and lift sanctions? And Trump is obviously enough of a chump to be gulled by that. So far, it hasn't happened. It remains to be seen. But for Trump, who is so supremely superficial, it's all about visuals. His style over substance. It was a photo opportunity. He thinks he can go down in the history books as what? A total naif, someone who was tricked by Kim Jong-un. But who comes out looking this better? Now, Trump may not realize this. It's not about him as an individual. It's about the country he supposedly serves, and not the country serving him. Does the United States rise in stature, or does North Korea? Well, clearly it's North Korea. Cui bono? So this is the kind of thing, the sort of status that the North Korean dynasty has craved for decades, and now the current dynast has got what he wanted, has met on level pegging, well, with the American president. In fact, superior, really, because Trump has come to him. So it was in his court piece, it was on his home turf. It was 1-0 Pyongyang. So it confers legitimacy on this viciously oppressive regime. It lends respectability to his oppressive machine. It is a government which is characterized by savage brutality on an industrial scale in terms of holding political prisoners by the tens of thousands, by using torture very widely, by oppressing people, by not permitting them the least modicum of freedom of expression, not even them allowed to leave the country without permission. It's effectively one gigantic prison. And then people are obliged to adulate the president to a nauseating degree. All the kind of things that Trump would like to see in his country. Trump doesn't want to allow people in, as North Korea doesn't want to leave people out. Otherwise, if Trump could prevent people leaving, I don't doubt that he would do it. So it is very telling how Trump is far more fawning on Kim Jong-un than he is the leader of any free country, of any American ally, the leaders of Canada, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Mexico, even Israel, countries which have long-standing cordial relations with the United States, have cooperated with the United States on many international issues, fought alongside the United States in many conflicts, including recently in Iraq and Afghanistan. Not all the countries I mentioned, but most of them. So even contrast this with South Korea. Trump doesn't gush over the leader of South Korea. Who is the president of South Korea? I don't think Trump could name him. So it's like Trump is like Sarah Palin, only minus the personal morality. Sarah Palin, whatever else you say about her, I mean, I think she walked the walk as well as talked the talk on family values. I'm an anti-family values person, but I think she was at least sincere on that. But he's Palin on steroids when it comes to sheer ignorance and close-minded chauvinism. He's gullible, and he hugely overrates his own aptitude when it comes to international affairs and more or less everything. It's all superlatives with him, that the Queen of the United Kingdom had more fun with him than she's had in 25 years, that he could risen to the top of the military, that a speech he gave in mainland Europe was the most fantastic oration by any American ever delivered, that more people attended his inauguration than any other, that he's got $10 billion, that he's a genius, and on, constantly blowing his own trumpet, lauding his own supposed accomplishments, a real Renaissance man. It is flabbergasting. I'm just constantly stumped by this. It's mind-blowing. Other than that, I would say I'm lost for words for his sheer conceit, especially when it's completely out of touch with reality. It bears very little relation to his actual set of abilities or his actual record of achievement. So why does Trump trust Kim? How has Kim ever proved himself to be trustworthy? You'd think a liar would tell other liars, wouldn't trust other people, but there we have Trump, who's a pathological liar, who tells the most flagrant porcupines, even knowing that they're provable porcupines, just can't help himself. Speaking with such bombast about all his supposed achievements, his high status. And yet he is a complete moron in believing someone like Kim Jong-un. And he'd rather believe Kim Jong-un than his own intelligence services. What does US intelligence exist for, if not to find the truth and tell the president truth, pleasant or unpleasant? But no, Trump, is that going to make America great again by constantly demeaning the NSA or the CIA and the FBI and Homeland Security and whoever else? Oh, that they're dead wrong, they should go back to school, when they tell him the plain truth about the North Korean nuclear weapons program? Is that nationalist to fail to stand up for the national interest? Always taking the side of a tyrant against his own people. Remember that young American who died due to abuse in a North Korean prison? And Trump, again, would take the side of the North Korean tyrant over an American victim of that said tyrant. It's staggering. Words fail me, and it goes on and on. So what is so bad about North Korea? In a word, slavery. So those who speak out against him, they'll be sent to a labor camp down a coal mine, working in horrifically inhumane conditions, very long hours for no pay at all, with savage beatings and a meager diet, which is close to starvation, and all the rest of it. It's airless, to say the least, that society. And this is this mass brainwashing where they're compelled to raise these glad hymns of praise to the one who oppresses them so cruelly. It really is Orwellian, that where freedom is slavery and truth is a lie and war is peace and all the rest of it. So extrajudicial killings. The only thing that might get to Trump is there are no gun rights in North Korea. But somehow he doesn't call them out. Obviously considers the Europeans to be wimps and commies for not having guns everywhere, but if North Korea's like that, well, it doesn't bother him one whit or one tittle. So people are not allowed to leave. They have to seek permission to leave. Only trusted members of this Kim cult are permitted to go abroad, and often they're hired out as slave laborers in Qatar and elsewhere. No golf courses in North Korea. Well, that might get Trump's goat, but that's an investment opportunity for him. I mean, Trump has got such business acumen. Oh yeah, North Korea, that tourist hotspot. Yeah, Trump, why don't you open another Trump Tower there? I can tell why you've gone bankrupt so many times. You really think huge numbers of wealthy people are going to be going there to play golf? Trump's saying, well, every time he launches a missile, I see the beach and I want to open a golf course there. The vicious persecution of Christians in North Korea. But no, that doesn't give him a pause for thought. Trump, who supposedly loves the Bible more than anyone else, as he said himself. The United States government used to at least claim to gainstand such unrighteous government, but no more. Trump will actually add as a publicist for it. Contrast the way Trump treats the Kim regime, the way he treats the Cuban government, which does at least concern itself with the common weal. And there's a lot wrong in Cuba. You know, it's a one-party state, has little freedom of expression. Yeah, I'll criticize it. But the government does provide for public welfare. People are not starving there. And they've got no death penalty there, haven't had it for 20 years. If you don't like it in Cuba, you can leave. They no longer stop you. So there's no question they win the beauty contest in comparison to North Korea. They're no longer ruled by a dynasty. But no, Trump can't find in his heart to treat them with a modicum of decency. So, and Trump, I suppose, is a bit like Kim Jong-un in Trump urging the police to beat up suspects. Suspects who might turn out to be totally innocent. Don't be too nice to them, he's saying. This is actually, therefore, bring back corporal punishment without trial. But when the FBI acts entirely lawfully and ethically in executing a search warrant on people he's involved with, like Michael Cohen, Trump thinks that's a moral outrage, or saying, are we living in Nazi Germany? I know that would suit Trump, actually, if he was. Fairness for Trump. Fairness is obviously being obeisant to him. Thought the Chinese were unfair in their trade policies. When on earth has Trump ever cared about fairness? That Mueller would be fair to him, as in whitewash his record. Well, Mueller didn't let him off the hook, though I felt it was a bit feeble as a report. So Trump wants people to be complacent. That's fair. And when he went to go and meet his ideological soulmate, Kim Jong-un, who did he take along? Not his Secretary of State, not his National Security Advisor, Tucker Carlson, who does not work for the White House, has never been elected to any office, has never been appointed to any office. And it proves yet again that Fox News is the semi-official PR agency for the Trump organization. So the line between the Trump organization, the White House, and Fox is increasingly blurred. Who does Carlson work for? I know Fox pays his salary, but who's actually serving seems like Trump to me. And bringing along his daughter Ivana. This is nepotism at its worst. So it's like monarchy without the majesty. Ivana, the princess of pomposity, Duchess Doofus, the Countess of Count Me In, the Viscountess of Vapidity, the Baroness of Barefaced Lies, the Marchioness of Moron. What on earth does she know about foreign policy? She is a presidential advisor on the basis of no experience or pertinent qualifications whatsoever, the supposedly handbag entrepreneur, advisor on women's issues. Does she care about sexual assault, about the 16 women who've accused President Trump of sexual assault? Now, like most men, I've never been accused of sexual assault by a single person in my life. Trump accused by 16 people. Obama was never accused by anyone. George W. Bush was never accused by anyone. Bill Clinton was accused by a few people, not by 16. George Bush Sr. was never accused. Well, actually, he was by one, but right at the end. Ronald Reagan was never accused by anyone. The great majority of American presidents or presidential candidates were never accused by anybody. Nobody's been accused by more people than Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump must be the unluckiest man in the world to have so many women false accusing him. Now, it could be innocent, but the chance is very slender indeed. And look at his complete lack of credibility at the thousands upon thousands of provable lies that he has told on the record since becoming president, as listed by the Washington Post. So Ivana Trump, does she care about childcare? What's she doing to provide childcare for the poorest? Does she care about health care, providing that to women and children, making sure that even the poorest can afford it? No, not one bit. Does she care about anything about sexual harassment? Never heard her speak up about that one. So it's all about optics and never about anything tangible. I mean, Ivana Trump, she obviously has absolutely no idea what she's doing. I can say confidently that I would know more about the situation than she would. And I've never, well, apart from one night, I've never been to Korea. But there we are. It is staggering. It is nauseating that he has disgraced his country yet again, and at least 40% of Americans still like him. Well, it could be worse. There's no nuclear war at the moment. But he's obviously tried all this Mr. Nice Guy, a bit of the sanctions. Where do we go from here? What happens next? I don't see significant progress being made. He might just cave in and give them what they want. You know how Trump can turn on the dime, as they say. Caprice is one of his myriad vices. So the North Koreans have so far outclassed him. They've been winning this game, set, and match. But then they're not giving him anything in return. He probably considers that meeting this guy, well, he does. He said it was a great accolade for him. He considers that meeting with them a gain. Obviously, it should be the other way around. The North Koreans should consider it gain. This is what America has lowered itself for, being run by these complete scumbags. Oh well. So that's Trump and Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un, as I say, murderous tyrant. But unlike Trump, he at least is cunning.